are talking about dividing real numbers, and like I said, this is just like multiplying real numbers. The rules are the same. It's just that now you're dividing instead of multiplying. So what is a quotient again? What does that mean? Quotient is when you use division, right? So the quotient of two real numbers with the same sign. So in other words, if I do a positive divided by a positive or a negative divided by a negative, that answer is going to be positive. Okay, so if I do like -6 divided by -3, I should get what? +2, right? So I should get a +2 there. Or if I do a +6 divided by a +3, I should still get a +2. Okay, so when you divide two numbers that have the same sign, your answer will be positive. Same goes just like yesterday when you do one of each. The quotient, that means division, of two numbers with different signs is negative. Okay, so positive if they have the same sign, negative if they have different signs. So in other words, if I do -6 divided by a +3, I should get a -2 as my answer. Or if I were to flip that, a +6 divided by a -3, I should still get a -2. So if there's one negative, one positive, and we are dividing, your answer is negative. Okay? And then we're going to talk a little bit about zeros real quick, because a lot of times zero can get confused. When we have the number 0, can you tell me the difference between saying 0 divided by 8 versus 8 divided by 0? Do you know what the value of either one of those is? Zero. For which one?
For the top one and the bottom one.
No, but it isn't 0 either. So the first one is 0. Okay, 0 divided by 8 is 0. Think of it like this. 0 apples can be divided among 8 children, right? 0 divided into 8 groups. So there's 8 children. I have 0 apples to give. How many apples does every child get? 0. Okay. Whereas if I have 8 apples and I'm going to divide those 8 apples into 0 groups, I can't do it, right? I can't take 8 apples and say I'm going to make 0 groups out of them. I have to just, that doesn't make sense. So 8 divided by 0, your answer is actually undefined. Try plugging 8 divided by 0 into your calculator right now. Grab your calculator out, plug in 8 divided by 0. So 8 divided by 0. What do you get?
Divide by 0 error.
Error. Does it say divide by 0 error?
Yeah.
Error.
Oh.
Error.
Does anyone get syntax error? You'll get some sort of error message, okay? So when you get oh, that's nice that they tell you exactly, yeah, divided by 0. Error, can't do it. So you cannot divide by 0, okay? It just doesn't work. It is considered undefined in math. So tell me what we're going to get for these examples then. So example 3, we're just going to do a bunch of division problems. You see what we're going to get. So the first one, if I do negative 16, don't plug these into your calculator. Do this in your head. Negative 16 divided by 2, what are you going to get? Positive or negative? Negative. What's 16 divided by 2? 8. So this is a negative 8. Okay. What is 24 divided by negative 3? Negative 8 again, right? So one is negative, one is positive. That means your answer has to be negative. So that would be a negative 8. What is negative 60? Let's see if you guys can do a little mental math here. Negative 60 divided by negative 15. First of all, is it positive or negative?
Positive.
It's going to be positive, okay? A negative divided by a negative. Anyone know what 16 divided by 15 is? 60 divided by 15 is? What? It's 4. That would be a positive 4. Okay. All right, how about 7 divided by 0? Undefined, right? You cannot divide by 0, so that's undefined. Think of children and apples. Yeah.
I have a question. So if we see that place with any number, we just put undefined.
If you see any number divided by 0, you would write undefined.
And if we put 0, would be wrong. Correct?
0 is wrong. Yeah.
Just say
No, say undefined. Your calculator says error. Okay, what is negative 90 divided by negative 10? That's a positive, right? Negative divided by negative is a positive, and that would be 9. Okay? How about 0 divided by 14? That one's 0, okay? 0 divided by any number is always 0. So 0 divided by 14 is 0. Okay, questions on that? All right, then we are gonna do some dividing fractions. Okay, and I have a little phrase for you. Just to help you remember what to do when you divide fractions, okay? So I'll write it here. You may use it if it's helpful. If it's not, then just ignore it for now. Here's what it says. When dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second guy and multiply. Okay, when dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second guy and multiply. What I mean by that is if I have this setup, okay, if I have A over B divided by C over D, okay, we're dividing two fractions. What you do is you flip the second guy. So this one right here, you're gonna flip it over. So it's gonna become D over C instead. And then what else do you have to do? You multiply, okay? So instead of dividing, now it's gonna be multiplication. So it would actually be the same thing as A over B times D over C, okay? So flip the second one and multiply them instead. Way simpler problem. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like. So this is like example 4 in our book. Here's the first one. If I give you, is this color too light to see? Yeah, we're gonna switch, just in case. All right, so say our problem is this, 2/3 divided by -5/6. Okay, when dividing fractions, don't be shy, flip the second guy and multiply. So what's your new problem? 2/3 times negative 6/5. Sometimes people are like, why'd you put the negative up top? It was with the 5. You can keep it with the 5 if you want. I just always leave it with my numerator. It's not wrong either way. So if you want to move it down, move it down. That's totally fine. It's just that in the end, sometimes it simplifies to a whole number, and then you don't want the negative on bottom because there won't be a denominator, okay? So I just always leave it with the top. All right, then how do you multiply fractions? You can cross cancel, right? Or you can multiply across and then reduce the fraction. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to show you both right now. Gain an opinion of which one you like better. And maybe you already know which one you like better. But I'm going to show you both ways. So you could do this. You could just multiply across negative 12 over 15, right? Multiply 3 times 5, multiply 2 times negative 6, and then reduce that fraction. So 12 and 15 are both divisible by 3. So this would be negative 4/5, okay? So you could do it that way, or you could do it this way. And I'm just curious who likes which way better, so see which one you prefer. You could say, I know that negative 6 and 3 are both divisible by 3, so this would be 1 and negative 2, and then multiply. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 1 times 5 is 5, so that's my answer. Notice you get the same answer. It's just the order you go about it in. And I don't care which one you do, but I'm just curious which one you like as a class, because then I will try to do it that way. So if you like it where you multiply across and then reduce, raise your hand for me. The first one. 1, 2. Okay, if you like it the second way, raise your hand for me, where you cross cancel. Couple cross cancelers. Okay, I will probably do this most of the time just because that's what the masses prefer. But if you ever have a question about cross canceling, let me know, and you are welcome to cross cancel on every problem. Okay? Okay. What do you do with this one? So if it's 20 divided by 1/4. Okay, so when dividing fractions, don't be shy. Flip the second guy and multiply. What's your new problem going to be? 20 times what? 4. 4 over 1 is 4, right? So you don't have to leave it as a fraction now. You can just say 20 times 4. We flipped 1 over 4, and now it's 4 over 1. So 20 times 4 is 80. Did you have a question, Itzel?
Yeah, sometimes we put a 1 under this one, or like.
That's okay too. Like you may put 20 over 1 and 4 over 1, but when you multiply, your answer is 80 over 1. I don't want 80 over 1. I want the most simple answer you can give me, so take the 1 away then and just call it 80. But yeah, if that's helpful to see it as a fraction and a fraction, I totally get that. You're welcome to do that.
It's like 2/3, if we do 20 times, or like 20 divided by 2/3.
Then you would do 20 times 3 over 2, right? So this is where Itzel is saying sometimes they put a 1 underneath because maybe that just helps you see it better. 20 times 3 and 1 times 2. You may do that, okay? Any other questions on that so far? Okay, sometimes they write it differently. Sometimes they write it like this: x divided by y for an x value of 3/8 and a y value of 3/4. Okay, so it's saying x divided by y. So essentially what you're saying is 3 over 8 divided by 3 over 4, and that is a hideous problem to look at. Like, that is not nice. It's hard to know what to do with it. So what you should do instead is set it up, this is just division, right? So set it up 3/8 divided by 3/4, and now you can do your, when dividing fractions, don't be shy, flip the second guy and multiply. So your new problem would be what? Right, 3/8 times 4/3. So for you cross cancelers, you have a lot of cross canceling you can do here. 3 and 3 is 1, 4 and 8 is 1 and 2. For you multipliers, 3 times 4 is 12, 8 times 3 is 24, and 12 and 24 are both divisible by 12. So you get 1 over 2. So your answer would be 1/2. Okay? Questions on that? All right, we're going to do one more like that, and then I have one little other detail to give you. So again, x divided by y. If x is -3/4 and y is -2/3. Okay, so we're dividing two negative numbers. Is your answer positive or negative? It's going to be positive. Okay, so we're going to do -3/4 divided by -2/3. So what's your new equation? Right, so -3/4 times, and then flip it over, -3 over 2. And like I said, you can put the negative on bottom or you can put it on top. Don't put it on both, okay? So when we multiply, -3 times -3 is a +9. 4 times 2 is 8. So your answer is 9/8. You can't reduce that. You could turn this into a mixed number. It's not wrong if you want to do that. Do you know what this would be as a mixed number? What? 1 and 1/8, right. So it's 1, because that's 8 over 8 would be 1, and then there's 1/8 left over. So 1 and 1/8, you could write it that way if you wanted, or you can just leave it as 9 over 8. Okay? Questions? Okay, the only other thing we're going to do then is opposite reciprocals. Right now we just did reciprocals for dividing fractions, but you're going to get to a point in the second half of the year more where you have to find an opposite reciprocal. So I just want you to think about what that is. Opposite in math means what? What's the opposite of 7? -7. What's the opposite of -2? 2. Okay, so opposite means you're changing your sign. If it's positive, you're making it negative. If it's negative, you're making it positive. What's a reciprocal in math? When you flip it, right? So if it was A over B, it's going to become B over A. Okay? So if I ask you what is the opposite reciprocal of 2 over 3, what would your opposite reciprocal be? -3 over 2. Good. What if I asked you what's the opposite reciprocal of 8? Negative. Think about what 8 is as a fraction. It's 8 over 1. So what's the opposite reciprocal of 8 over 1? -1 over 8. Okay. What's the opposite reciprocal of -7/2? 2 over 7, right? Flip it over. It was negative, make it positive. Okay, so we'll get into opposite reciprocals in greater detail down the road, but I do just want you to know opposite means change the sign, reciprocal means flip it over, and you should be able to find the opposite reciprocal of any number. Okay?